Oh, okay. So let's talk about it. Let's roll into AI a little bit. You know, The Brutalist had a little bit of issues because they used AI on the voices. The argument was it's such a difficult
Dialect.
yeah, to do that they bumped it up a little bit.
And they said that it was a manual process,
Right.
but the AI was used to change it. That I'm kind of okay with.
I am
Because at
too.
that point, there's no difference between doing that and like sweetening your audio with a plugin.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. Yeah. I hope that people understand that too. There are levels to this.
Yeah.
There is definitely
Yeah.
levels. So Paul Schrader,
But they also used it to do the pre-visualizations on some buildings. And
that's a little different.
that's different.
Yep.
And I know it's like just going to come down to budget reasons, but
Yep.
then maybe
And I mean,
don't
if
shoot on
they're
65
admitting
mil.
doing it, how often is it being done when people aren't talking about it?
It's being used all
Awesome.
the time.
Yep. Yep.
All the time.
So Schrader's argument was for screenplay stuff, for writing, creating, that kind of thing. He said, you know, he's liked every idea that has spit back out to him, which I think is fascinating. That's what I've enjoyed using it for, is the blueprint. You know, seeing this or that, and this works, this doesn't work, that kind of thing.
Except
Yes.
I ran a couple of my screenplays through the treatment one that you used,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I ran Blue Moon through it, knowing how Blue Moon turned out and what people responded to and what they didn't. And it doesn't understand subtext and human emotion.
Unless you specifically tell it to look for the subtext.
No, but in my script where it says like we cut to outer space and it's black and white,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
it told me in its script coverage, you need to add more scenes with black and white so this doesn't come out of left field. Meanwhile, when you watch the movie, most people get what it means.
Yeah, agreed.
So it doesn't understand nuance. It doesn't understand anything. Like it would blow up if you tried to feed a David Lynch screenplay
Sure.
to it, right? So, like, one thing I did find it really good for, though, it was really good at budgeting. Because I took a movie that I had already budgeted and said, okay, what would this budget it for? And it budgeted it for $25,000 more than what we had budgeted the movie for. And the $25,000 difference was I was going to edit the film.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have to pay for an editor. So it was basically right on the money. Haha, wah wah. So I think that, like, breakdowns, that's where it could be an invaluable tool. But the creativity just still isn't there. And it kind of is disappointing that Paul Schrader is like, hey, I told it to write me an overview, an outline for Steven Spielberg's script, and it was great. And it's like, well, then why are people doing this anymore then? Like, can we keep people in the loop here?
Yes. And it has to be that way. I mean, you know, content will be made by AI. It already is being made by AI. It's been doing that for a while. But films, like Paul Schrader makes, is a different beast altogether as far as I'm concerned. And so, yes, you have to be extremely careful with that stuff when it comes to film. You're not going to stop Netflix and all those people from using it for content.
I'll tell you how it doesn't work well. If you told it, hey, come up with an idea for a new Christopher Nolan movie, it would not have come up with Christopher Nolan does his version of The Odyssey.
The Odyssey, right?
Because humans are sometimes unpredictable.
Yep.
Right? And it can only extrapolate from previous evidence. It can't account for someone having a change of heart, or, you know, like someone who goes through a tragedy and like just their outlook changes, whatever, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And that's where I think, you know, where it's like, if you ask it to give you a Spielberg script, it could give you a good script based off of what Spielberg has done.
Yes.
But it's not going to give you something that he would do. You know?
Agreed. Yeah, 100%. Well put into words, sir. Well put into
Thank you.
words. This is just going to continue, and AI is in our lives now, so we just got to make sure that we're using it responsibly. And I know that sounds really ridiculous, and nobody's going to do that, but you know what? You and I can live that life, and that's what I'll do.
Well, you can't though, because like one thing that no one wants to talk about, and the same with crypto, and they're kind of both being discussed on a national level right now and an international level. Both of these things are very harmful to the environment, incredibly harmful.
The energy,
the energy used for Adobe to do generative AI in Photoshop is crazy. We can't do that anymore. Like we're kind of running out of time,
right?
And I don't want to say that AI is worth it, because it's not. And it's the same thing with crypto. Like we kind of need to either figure out how to have computers use a lot less energy or use cleaner energy, or we just stop using this stuff that we shouldn't be using anyway because it's just hurting everybody.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Hey,
right. That's not going to happen.
I loved this topic that you suggested for this week's show, which we shall now get into. We want to talk about indie films defined by decade. Now, decade is a loose term. I'm sure we'll talk about like 67.
Oh, I just said film. You added the indie.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, did I add the indie? Let's go with the indie.
Yeah, you did. Because I was thinking like,
hit me.
Because, okay, I was watching Pluto, right? Because
Pluto, if you want to sponsor, Pluto, have you.
Pluto, you're the best. You remind me of the magic of not having an algorithm dictate everything I watch, and I
just
love
get to turn on TV, and that's the surprise.
And discover something, or maybe like the other day, I didn't think I was in the mood to watch Pulp Fiction, but the beginning of Pulp Fiction was on, and I watched it until the end.
Yep. They Tango and Cash me the other day.
Tango and Cash. When I was a kid, like if I came into any part of Tango and Cash, it's like, I'm done for the next 2 hours. Sorry, Sunday afternoon. But so I was watching Pulp Fiction, and I was thinking, this is the movie of the 90s. Like when you think of the quintessential movie of the 90s, it's probably Pulp Fiction. It was early.
It's Goodfellas.
It's not. It's not Goodfellas. First of all, Goodfellas is 1990, so that's late 80s. Like there's always bleed over. But a movie that defines the decade, and the 90s was cool. It was hipster. It was self-referential. A good part of that was because of Quentin Tarantino, and you add Kevin Smith to the mix with Clerks. I think it was the same year.
Yep.
And that literally changed movies. And everybody ripped off Pulp Fiction. Everyone still rips off Pulp Fiction. Every young filmmaker wants to be, every cool young filmmaker wants to be Quentin Tarantino. And I don't know how many shoot 'em ups you had to watch as a film student. I had to watch a billion of them.
We were watching Murmur the Heart. We were a little bit higher class than you, sir.
Yeah. No, but it's like,
I got you.
You wouldn't have The Matrix without it. Like it.
Oh yeah, 100% agreed.
So it's like I think that might be the movie of the 90s of the 90s. And I'm thinking, well, what's the movie of the 80s?
Can I sidetrack us real quick? I have had a problem recently after learning, as we have not talked about this before, so I have no idea what you're about to say back to me. I have a problem recently with listening to Tarantino's podcast because I only recently found out that Roger Avery spent time in jail for a situation where people end up not alive. I don't know. I still haven't reconciled with that yet. And it's weird to me. And I don't know how I feel about it. And as he's getting a little bit more conspiracy theory, that makes me a little bit easier to pull back a little bit. Do you have any feeling either way about this?
I've noticed that in most white guys over the age of 45.
Yes.
That seems to be happening right now.
I'm trying real hard not to be that guy.
I'm trying, Ringo. I'm trying real hard.
Okay, I thought drag this for a second. Okay, so let's go back to the 80s. The 80s.
I'm going with Back to the Future. That's the movie of the 80s. That like
what's that?
It
I would
feels,
argue we talked Indiana Jones earlier, but yes, I would back to
And see-
for me.
but see, like Indiana Jones isn't of the 80s, as in like it's supposed to be from the 30s. It's supposed to feel like it's from the 30s. I'm talking like a movie when you like, I'd put probably as a second to Back to the Future might be Fast Times at Ridgemont High, where like you watch it and you're like, oh, this is what the 80s was, right? But then you get to the 70s and that gets real tough.
We got a long one on the 70s, but I'm curious if you could pick an indie film from the 80s that was the quintessential 80s, what might that be?
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah,
I don't even know. Yeah. That's why I didn't say indie in the first place, because like, you know, my wealth of knowledge is not as, you know.
I mean, you got Sex, Lies, and Videotape, but I don't think that's real. I mean, that's going to be 89.
Was that's 89, right? But like that still got like a big release.
Yeah.
You know?
Can I go Repo Man? Paris, Texas. Paris, Texas.
Or wait, what year was True Stories?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
There. Yeah. I don't like
Just
that movie at all, but that's a good answer.
Well, but just because like it, first of all, it was shot in Dallas in like 1987 or 88, and like it just feels like every corporate town.
86.
And it's just like it feels of that time, and everyone's at the mall, you know. And it's really quirky. You know, I actually would Stop Making Sense count. It's a concert film, but would that count?
Yep. It just might. I wouldn't be against it if somebody suggested it.
But then you go to the 70s and it's like, okay, what's the movie of the 70s? Like,
oh man, I'm curious to see what your answer is.
That's tough. It's really tough.
Super tough.
Because like someone would want to say like The Godfather, but that movie takes place in the 40s and 50s.
Yep.
You know, so I wouldn't really put it that way. Put it there. It could be Apocalypse Now. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think it'd be Jaws, even though that's like one of the most impactful films of all time.
Probably the most impactful.
I don't think I would put that as like the movie of the 70s, but I don't know.
Get Network?
You know, it might be Network, because that was right before we had the 24-hour news cycle coming.
Changed everything, yep.
Yeah, and I think it was really trying to warn us.
They didn't. Yeah, they should have yelled louder, I feel like, because we missed the boat on that one.
There's a whole scene where people are screaming out of their windows.
Yeah.
We still didn't listen.
Sure.
We still didn't listen.
We did not.
Space in the Crowd tried to warn us in the 50s. We didn't listen.
I watched that on election day.
You know what's funny? In election day 2016, after the results came in, that's when I turned on IFC, and they had just started playing A Face in the Crowd.
Nice.
I'm like, oh well, that's clever.
Pretty appropriate. So like, 60s, is this easy? I feel like 60s is easy, but you tell me.
What would you say?
I would say Easy Rider.
Ooh.
I mean, for me personally, it's Bonnie and Clyde, but the world as a whole, Easy Rider.
You know, it might be Easy Rider, especially just like that whole like Lost, you know, like Where's America Going?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I could see that. I could totally see that.
I love these ideas, kind of going back and, you know, like what hit, what mattered, you know, because it doesn't necessarily have to do with the Oscars, and it never has to do with box office. For the most part, it's always these films that do a little something different, that are talking about the times. You know what? I would even argue Idiocracy should be one of these films that are on this list. It is so prescient that it's unbelievable how well they nailed that.
Except it's not like of the time. Like,
Agreed.
For like the 2000s, I almost want to say something like Triple X,
probably, or
like Too Fast, Too Furious, because that like really captures that time and place. You know,
Furious, baby, that's the best of all of them.
Actually, I don't know. I don't know best.
I always say that, and I'm always serious when I say that. But the reason for that is, I've argued before, that's the most regular movie of the franchise. Everything else is Fast and the Furious, but I feel like that's just a crime flick. And so that's my perfect January crime flick kind of movie.
Is it because Vin isn't in it?
Well, that is a piece of it. There's no talk of family in that per se. I mean, obviously,
It's the only one without Vin.
yeah, it's the only one without Vin. First time for Tyrese, which may be the most important part of the franchise because I love Tyrese, and only that. And he had a Benihana's in his backyard. Those are the two reasons that I love Tyrese.
2000s, man. What would be the movie of the 2000s?
We didn't give any love to Chuck and Buck, but that's okay though.
But no, like what captures the 2000s? I think you'd have to go with something that's like, oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. Team America. Team America.
Yeah.
The whole like, because I think everyone now forgets the terrorist scare. You know how that was. Like you had movies not getting released and movies getting recut because of 9/11, you know, man, I'd almost want to say Team America kind of captures the 2000s the best.
And I'm absolutely fine with that. I watched that in the theater.
Me too. I watched it opening day at the Chinese, and
I watched it the same movie theater I watched Eyes Wide Shut in. So those were, boy, that's a movie theater for sure. It's the one in Plano, way off the toll road, whatever.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea I ended up there for both of them, but I did. Good movie memories right there, I'm going to tell you.
What about the 50s?
Ooh. I mean, it's not my two favorites. It's not Facing the Crowd, and it's not the Kirk Douglas one.
You know what I'm actually going to say?
Hit me, please.
I'm going to go with a sci-fi film.
Mm-hmm.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, yes. Good watch. I enjoyed the crap out of that movie.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yes. I think it was the 50s. Might have been 60 or 61, but I think it was the 50s. 12 Angry Men.
Definitely 50s. Definitely could watch that 100 times.
Are you sure?
A remake. I thought it was 57. That's my guess. I'm going to go with 57. Also, Tony Danza.
57. Very good. Very good.
Is fantastic. Watch all 12 Angry Men because everyone they've ever made is wonderful. You know, that's going to be, I would love to see that on Broadway in a stage play of some kind.
By the way, I'm going to change my answer for the 2000s.
Hit me.
Ocean's 11.
Magical film.
There we go. Ocean's 11.
Put it down. Stand.
Yeah. Now the 40s.
I got nothing for the 40s. The best years of our lives.
Best years of our lives.
Yeah.
It's also just like the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah, it is. Fantastic. Yep.
And the movie of the 30s.
I mean, I assume Citizen Kane.
That was 41.
Oh, I thought it was like 39. Okay.
No, that was 41. And it takes place in like the 20s and the 30s. I'm actually going to say, and before you say it's not in the 30s, the beginning is. I'm going to go with Wizard of Oz.
Oh, I mean, how can I argue that? I'm not going to argue that. Wizard of Oz could be number one on this list for most influential of a decade. So, yeah.
I didn't think you liked Wizard of Oz.
I adore Wizard of Oz. I almost watched it the other day. Oh, that's definitely.
It's so good. It's so good.
A plus.
You know, the first time I saw that in the theater, it's the first time I remember watching an old movie where I felt like I was in a completely different place.
Yeah. It's like, pure magic.
Yeah, it is.
Pure freaking magic. I mean, just the little things from black and white to color when she goes through the door. Oh, man. Oh.
Well, I was watching it with my girls, and we were looking at, the first set that she walks into at that moment. And I'm like, look at how big this thing is. And I said, that background is hand painted.
Yep.
And actually, the very first thing I did at USC, look, we made it almost an hour without me talking about USC.
Yay.
I went to our film library.
Mm-hmm.
And I went downstairs, showed my ID, and I walked up to, it's the matte painting of Emerald City as they're leaving the poppy fields. And it's just like, it was there under glass. And I'm like looking at it going, oh, that's where I'm going to school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like when they did the DVD, they had to come rent it from us so they could do behind the scenes stuff on it. But also, like, can we just talk about how on pins and needles everyone has to be around an 80-year-old painting on glass?
Jesus, yeah, pure terror. Don't breathe
Like,
on it.
it's like, why is this off the ground? You know, like it was just like in a desk. It's like, no, you need like armed guards around this.
They needed armed guards around the Kubrick exhibit that I saw because I had my eye on the War Room miniature, and
Yeah.
it was hanging in the air. And that security lady, if she wasn't been paying attention, that would have been mine, all mine.
Now, what about the 2010s? Or are we too close to the 2010s?
I think we're too close. I don't think we have perspective on that yet.
Like, is there a movie that captures the culture of the what is the culture of the 2010s?
I mean, Social Network is probably going to be as close as we're going to get, I would say.
Okay. Oh no, that's it. Yeah. That's it. Okay. Discussion's over on that one. Can we also mention how they desperately need to do another one? Because that I think that movie might have been way too nice.
It sure seemed to be that way.
Yeah.
Are you going to do Zuckerberg training jujitsu and hang out at the UFCs? Is that what we're going to do this time? Oh,
and
man.
Going with his perm.
What a weird world. God, what a weird world.
Do you remember when the joke was that all the tech billionaires were like super granola leftists?
No,
that
well,
was not that long ago. Like, there's a whole TV show called Silicon Valley based around that premise.
Yeah. I think we forgot about the key component to all that. It's called money, and that's all that matters for them.
Oh, it's almost like, you know, the personality traits it takes to be that wealthy aren't good.
Right. Not a lot of creatives in that space, if I'm being honest.
No.
People that are connected to their insides will not be worth $400 billion. That's just the way it goes. I'm not going to leave this on a sad note because boy, oh boy, have we had some time in between episodes. We've watched a whole ton of movies, and when I say me, because I got sick and watched 10 in 2 days, so I got a lot of new stuff to recommend. But
I don't have anything new.
Give us one thing, and I'll give you 17.
I'm going to give you something that was on Pluto literally right before we got onto this podcast tonight. AI.
Yes.
And it seems relevant with everything going on, but I was wrong when I first saw it and I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that movie's a masterpiece. It's a straight up stone cold masterpiece that holds up better than almost anything else from that era.
All right.
And one thing I've noticed, and maybe you can talk to this a little bit too. When we were in our college days, it was really popular to hate on Spielberg, and everyone said Spielberg is just sentimental, and he's schmaltzy.
I was one of those assholes.
I've gone through and thought about every single movie he's done, and I don't think that's the case at all. I think, especially that one shot in The Fabelmans, where he's watching his family fall apart, and there's that shot of him with the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it in the mirror. Even though he doesn't really have the camera, it's basically him saying, this is how I remember it.
Right.
It's a disassociation. I feel like all of the sentimentality in his movies is basically the same thing of like a 50s housewife who smiles just to hide the pain that's underneath.
Mm-hmm.
All of his movies are basically about broken people and broken homes, and how like there's a sense of sentimentality, but again, it's all tainted. And when you look at AI, you see it is a very disturbing movie. It's incredibly disturbing.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly sad.
You'll be disgusted to know that I came over to the Spielberg side after I saw Bridge of Spies. Judge me as you will.
That movie is fantastic. That is so slept on.
So good.
Every shot in that movie is like, oh, this is the greatest shot ever put into a movie.
Really was. Yeah. Yeah. And then, I'm no idiot. I finally came around, and he's a master. I mean, just I mean, he's on Mount Rushmore.
Because here's the thing, and here's what he does that no one else can do. He can take something that could be an indecipherable art film, and he makes it entertaining to most people.
Yeah, he's a master at that.
And I don't know how the hell he does it. Like, Jaws is a monster movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it's considered one of the greatest movies ever made. Everybody loves Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it is pastiche of bad B serials from the 30s and 40s.
Absolutely.
But his technique and his mastery of story is that good. There's no, like, I don't feel bad saying that I think he's probably the best to ever do it. He really is.
And I wouldn't judge you for that at all. I'm putting 60 seconds on the clock. I'm about to go through as many as humanly possible. And hang on, let me get to the right number because I can't count past 3, 2, 1. Back in action with Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz. You know what? Wasn't that bad. I actually enjoy it. It's on Netflix right now. I'm not saying go watch it, but I enjoyed the heck out of it. How about Electric Glide in Blue? Never seen that before. That was interesting. A little weird, a little slow, but I enjoyed that as well. Den of Thieves, not so good. Didn't enjoy that. Saw that in the theater. What are you going to do? America's Sweethearts. That was a little one that I go, you know what? Let's go a little rom-commy. I did rom-commy. 2.5. Not bad. How about Teen Wolf? Teen Wolf popped up the other day. What am I going to do? Not watch Teen Wolf? Fantastic, that movie. You want to talk about January movies? Sleepless, starring Jamie Foxx and Tip, or some people call him T.I. It was really wonderfully bad. 1.5 stars on that movie. Madam Web, 5 minutes. Couldn't do it anymore. That was about it for me. And you know what? Before I waste the rest of my time, I'm going to tell you right now, 15 seconds left. Demolition Man is the greatest movie ever made. I saw that at the height of my sickness. I was clearing all the cobwebs out of my head, and it was perfect in every way, shape, or form. 6 stars for Demolition Man. Demolition Man Part 2 coming. I've got an idea. Trust me. I need $100 million. Let's go.
So I for our TikTok, I did a review, a box opening, right, of the Arrow set.
Yes.
And I made Ava watch it. And she caught on to something most people didn't catch on to. Right about the time they get to the sex scene.
Yes.
She goes, wait a second. Isn't that his daughter? I'm like, you caught it.
Yep.
You caught it.
They were supposed to cut some of those scenes out because that was the original idea, and then decided not to do that, but then they still have that in there, which makes it super
really
the same way. Yeah. Yeah.
So I got to tell her that she was absolutely right, because for a while that was just a theory. And more you look at it, the more you're like, oh, they never do mention who the daughter is or if she's still alive. But
she looked like a really weird red herring as I was rewatching. Oh yeah, that is why.
But no, I rewatched it very recently, and I got to say, first of all, Arrow Video, you're the best.
You're the best. You're just the best. Fantastic. Yep.
Also, my iTunes copy is still the old 16:9 like HD TV version. Like, I don't know when they're gonna fix that, but at least I got the 4K now, and it looks awesome. And I really think that was the last 80s movie. That was that's when the 80s movies ended. That was it.
I'm fine with that. Demolition Man 2. Ready to go.
Do you need it?
I wrote it, so yes. All right, we have reached the end of another perfect episode. This is Harvey Keitel's podcast that he listens to when he's taking a bath, drinking some wine. He's got a little bit of candles around him and stuff, because I assume that's what Harvey Keitel does with his evenings. Thank you, Harvey, for listening, and thank you, everybody, for listening. Matt,
and Harvey, yes? if you're listening,
oh god,
please get in touch with us. And I just want to know, are the rumors about Eyes Wide Shut true? I don't want any details. Don't want any details. Just, I've heard those rumors since before the movie came out.
Yes.
I just want to know. I won't tell anybody.
How cool would that be if we got Harvey Keitel for exactly 60 seconds? You ask the question, he says yes or no, and then just hangs up. That would be podcasting history.
I would quit the podcast tomorrow.
Shut it down. Party's over. That's all we have.
If we go, hey, are those rumors true? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, yeah. Okay, we're done.
Thanks. We're done. We're out. We're through. And speaking of, we're done. We're out. We're through. Matt, anything else to say?
See ya.